Hello everyone, and welcome to me absolutely bearing my soul to you all because this is truly a time in my life that I don't share with a lot of people because it's truly something, and I don't think everyone needs to know it about me because I feel like it sets like a reputation that I do not want. See, this is going to be the experience of 2020 Minecraft YouTuber fandom from someone who is in the fandom herself, aka I'm not really researching for this. It's just kind of like what I remember from the time period and like the vibes that it was. Like it is not researched at all. So if you were coming for that, there's definitely other YouTube videos about what happened and all the drama that happened. I'm gonna do what I remember. If you don't know, which if you're clicking on this video and you don't know is crazy, the Dream SMP was a Minecraft server which started off with Dream and his group of friends, Sapnap and George Not Found, dispersed to a very larger group. I joined the fandom the height of COVID, so I found it through TikTok clips. Thank you very much. And in this time, Tommy Innit and Tubbo joined the server, which led to all the TikTok clips that led me to it because it was like a very wholesome era where they were just like having fun on Minecraft. Like it wasn't anything serious. Black? Sorry. And there wasn't a lot of drama surrounding them being on the server in general. Like it was a pretty calm and sure fandom heavy area, but it wasn't like crazy. Before I get into like the surrounding things outside of the server, I will do a recount of the lore of the server because they had lore. They had a storyline on a Minecraft server because I guess people liked that. And you know what? I liked that when I was there too. So I can't really knock them. But from what I remember, this is the entire lore. In the beginning, Dream steals a music disc from Tommy, and this leads to a full-out war because Tommy really liked the music disc and they were like his only thing, and then Dream just stole them for fun. I actually don't remember why. And then because of this, they ended up breaking up into two different nations, and one was like the Union and one was the Confederate. I think the good guys were the Confederates, but I don't know.
What I mean by this is that they don't support the Confederacy's ideals necessarily. It's just like they give the vibe of the Confederacy, if that makes any sense. I hope someone else agrees with me so I don't seem like insane. To me, they give the vibe of the Confederates, like their outfits and everything, and then like the flag. So that's what I mean by this.
And the Confederate Army, aka the Confederate Nation, was called Lemanberg, who was led by Wilbur Soot. He was the main like lore writer of the server and didn't age well to be fan of him. He was actually my favorite. So when that shit came out, trust me, if you know, you know. At that point, I was out. So if that happened while I was a fan, I don't even know what could have happened. Other than the Confederates, aka Lemanberg, or Dreams Nation, which I just think that they like didn't want to give Lemanberg rights or something like that, and so they were having a war about that. Very much American politics. They were serving American politics for what reason, I don't know. And then eventually, Jay Schlatt, who is very famous outside of the Dream SMP server, he was on it for a hot minute, and he was president of Lemanberg for a little bit. He was channeling like American politics as well, I do believe. And they have a full blow-up battle war, and then it creates like a huge crater in the middle of the server where they had it because they use like dynamite and stuff like that. And then in this crater, these random vines grow on the ground that are like red. And this is related to egg lore, which I don't want to get into because frankly, I didn't care about it back then and I still don't now. There's a random egg that is creating vines and possessing people. That's basically what happened. Also, during this battle, Wilbur died for the third time, which means it's a canonical death forever. They pulled a JK on that and he came back as a ghost with no memories. So I think it's because he still wanted to drive along lore because he was writing it. At the same time, like he made the rule with 3 canonical deaths. And then Dream, since he's like a little cuckoo bananas, he gets sent to high protection level prison because I think he like kills someone, but I don't know. And then the warden of the prison is a guy called Awesome Dude. I really liked his vibe when I was there in 2020. I don't know if he's done anything controversial since then, so I'm not carrying that now, but I did back then. Okay. And also, along with Awesome Dude being the warden, he's also serving Animal Crossing character, I think, in one stream. Maybe it's just like a core memory I have, but I remember watching a stream where he was like Sam Nook, as in like he just made Animal Crossing noises the entire time. And then eventually Tommy gets stuck in the same prison spell as Dream. I don't know why. I don't know why they're in the same prison cell. That just doesn't make sense to me. But then they like trying to escape together, I'm pretty sure. And they like are stuck there for like a long time. And I think I was like clocked out by the time these streams happened. I have no idea. Memory gone. I was completely clocked out of the fandom by then. Like the height of it was during the Lemanberg era. And I think I was actually there for the final like battle stream, which is crazy to think about. Knowing Natalie back then, she was probably like saying like, "Oh my god, no, my favorite canon character," which is so crazy to think about. So like I don't like to think about this era of my life because I was like very, very, very obsessed. And like obviously I am obsessed with things now. I don't think anything can go to this degree. I don't know if the lore ended after this because as I said, clocked out, but I'm pretty sure it ended after that. So that's where my memory leads me. Also, canonically in the lore of the server, Michael Clifford from Five Sauce was on the server because Jack Manifold brought him on there, which Jack Manifold was another person who joined later on the server, along with the server, because obviously the Dream SMP was a server in itself and had a huge group of people, but these huge group of people then did other Minecraft content because that's what their niche was and that's what their audience was built off of. And so they had something called Minecraft Championships, shortened to MCCs. And I ate this shit up. This was my favorite thing ever. Like, I loved it. And basically, it would be like groups of like 4 that they would just do like different challenges in the specific like Minecraft thing. I loved this, like rooting for different teams based on who was on them and like who were my favorite streamers. This is my shit. This is like my Super Bowl. But the flip side of this is that it brought a lot of controversy on like who would be paired with who, and if this was like they cheated to get on the same team, or if they cheated in the actual event. Like, it was crazy. And also, a key person who was subject to these cheating scandals was Dream, which funny because he also fell into a scandal about cheating on a Minecraft speedrun. And I remember I was in the fandom at this time, and I think I was defending his honor, which is crazy to think about now. I kind of hate that man, unironically. Not even kind of. I just hate that man in general. And what happened in the situation is that he did cheat on the speedrun, but he claimed that he didn't know. And he like made this whole video, like a court case, and like hired like some like mathematician to do the math for him to prove that he didn't cheat. And then it came out that he did. And he was like, oh, like this is a mod pack that I didn't know was on my computer or whatever. And I was like, okay. Like, I think I was like out of the loop by the time that video came out, but like I was like, okay. But like when there were just claims that he's like, oh, I think he cheated on the speedrun, I think I was like in the fandom by then. I was like, no, of course he didn't. Like, he would never do that. It's crazy the effect that these grown men had on my teenage mind. Like, she needs to be studied, actually. And also, after this cheating drama, or before, I actually don't know the timeline, but I think on my way out of the fandom, Dream released Mask.
I wear masks with a smile for hours at a time.
Which is truly something. Horrible song. I remember hating it if it came out in the time that I was, but I obviously like saw it, even if I wasn't like completely involved in the fandom. I saw it and thought it was bad. I don't think I was in the fandom for the face reveal, but I could have been. On the other side of music, I was a big fan of Wilbur's music because he was like my favorite, which I don't want to talk about the absolute insanity that is Wilbur or his bandmates, because I was obsessed with their music, and no longer do I support that now. And also, the music is just like kind of very Arctic Monkeys. Like, like I could listen to Arctic Monkeys and get the same experience and even better, but I do not support that now because I do not support that man. Also, a large percentage of fans of the Dream SMP also interlocked with fans of Lover Host, which was a show put on by Austin Show and was a stream of like a popular content creator going on a blind date with like a huge group of women or men, it just depended. And then they would like pick one, and then basically if they chose love, then they would go on like a second date or something, and if they chose host, then they would just get all the viewers from the stream or something like that. And I remember enjoying these as well. That's also because I was like crazy fandom obsessed, so that's probably why. And this is where a lot of shipping things also came in, which was like weird and so many levels of uncomfortable thinking about it now. And like I remember I was kind of out of that when I was in the fandom because I was at least a little bit of a normal person. Some people were like literally crazy though, and I did not enjoy that. No, but yeah, a lot of people gained fame from Lover Host actually with being on the show, and then they ended up being on the server. Okay, this is when I like truly bare my soul, because this is like hard for me to admit myself to anyone, even to like some of my closest people in my life. I have withheld this information from some of them because this era of my life brought on a the first time I downloaded Wattpad, I read a lot of fan fiction about Minecraft YouTubers and surrounding them. I'm not proud of this. At the same time, everyone's got to start somewhere, and everyone has to have a bad fanfiction era. Mine was just this, okay? I just started off really badly. And this is no hate to Wattpad. I love Wattpad with all my heart, and I've seen possibly the best literature that ever existed on that app. But at the end of the day, this led me to fanfiction. I think fanfiction is possibly the best thing that's ever happened to this world, because the most fuck-ass shit ever, and I love it. Sometimes I literally will like want to read a real book, and I'm like, no, because this won't have the insane plot that a fanfiction will. Okay, I've hinted at this a little bit with each of the topics, but this is a where are they now? Okay, I took like the people I remembered from the server, and I just did like a few, like maybe one Google search, okay? I'd like to put this out there. I did not do good research, but this is from what I know from like maybe one TikTok I saw, or just like general vibe if I know what they're doing now. Starting off with Wilbur, he is creep. Like, stay away from that man. With Wilbur, his entire band also creep. We have Tommy. He was in recent drama with Dream. He is still uploading to his YouTube channel. I don't watch his videos. They seem to be doing well, so good for him. Also, I'd like to point out that Tommy and Tabo, I think, were about 16 at the time joining the server. So just like think about that. Well, like all of these men were like 20 plus. Well, they were just on the server with a bunch of 16-year-olds. So the vibes, looking back at it now, it's like, oh, that's a little weird. And Jack Manifold now, I think he has a podcast with Tommy, from what I saw. When I last checked, he had a girlfriend, and that has nothing to do with anything. I just like saw a clip of them together, and I was like, oh, cute. Dream is absolute creep. I'm pretty sure there were like allegations against him. I don't know. I don't know if they're true, but like from what I heard, absolute creep. And also he used the R slur on like his in the beef with Tommy, and then claimed that he was like retaking it, which I don't think that's how it works. Personally, I would say just don't use a slur, but whatever. And Saptap is, to my knowledge, still like hanging out with Dream. Like they're still connected, blah blah blah. I don't hear a lot of stuff about him. If he's like supporting Dream, then he is a creep by association. This is the same thing with George, because I don't know anything about him. I think I also heard something that he was like a creep. So I don't know the details though. If you feel so inclined to go look, because I didn't feel so inclined to go look for the details. So if I'm saying something false, that's because I did not look, and that's my bad. And Carl Jacobs, who was on Mr. Beast before he joined the server, and then he also had a mini lore series in the server that was unrelated to like the main plot point. It was like a time travel thing. And honestly, it was pretty sick. I remember liking that. But he is still doing Mr. Beast now, and I'm pretty sure he's like kind of disconnected from like everyone, which good for him. But he is still doing Mr. Beast stuff, and like, get that back. We love it for you. I can't really comment on that career path. And then Tubbo was involved in the Dream drama with Tommy recent times, but he seems to be doing well. Like he's like making content still, like seems to be doing well, because like people still watch his videos, because most of the time any fans who came out of the DREAM SMP would probably stick with Tommy or Tubbo, because that's what brought most viewers in. And also, like, all the grown men turned out to be creeps. And Rambo, I couldn't find much about him, but at the same time, I did minimal research, as I said. Like, it was one Google search. I couldn't find anything recent about him, which, like, if he's off the internet, good for him. Like, as he should be, after the absolute drag through the mud that server was to, like, anyone who was on it, especially if they were, like, a minor. I can't imagine that public pressure would put on a person. And Schlatt, who is, like, the only one that I still watch to this day, I think, he just ended a podcast with Slimesicle and Ted Nivison, Chuckle Sandwich. They just ended that, and then he is still uploading to his channel just like reaction videos or like different commentary stuff, but he's very disconnected from the DREAM SMP, and he was like immediately after he was out of it, because that environment was not a good one to be in, and I support him in that endeavor. If I was him, I would be out of there too. For the popularity that people got from it, it also became like a dump of like crazy people on the internet. And Nikachu, or Nikki, I still follow her on Instagram, so that's about the only thing that I know from her. I think she still streams or like uploads content in general. I know she dyed her black, which is like diva icon, love that for her. To my knowledge, she's still doing well. I think less involved in the internet, which I think is good for anyone in this situation. And from this list, notice how I didn't have bad things to say about like the younger people or the one woman that I put on here, because there was like barely any women on this server, especially like in the early days. So really says something, but whatever. And now it's just a time for like the overall thoughts of this era of my life. Like obviously it was not a good one. Let's just put that out there. I don't look on this fondly, but it was character building for real. Like I don't think I would be the person today if I wasn't in that fandom. And obviously it had some good parts to it. I met my first friend during COVID because of this fandom. I'm not going to say the reason, because it's like really cringy and stupid, but basically we connected through this fandom, and that's how we became friends, and we were friends for like multiple years after. And my sister also met her best friend who, to this day, through this fandom, because since I liked it, she knew what it was and she talked to her about it, and then they've been best friends ever since. So it has some good things. It was a community at the end of the day. It just wasn't a very healthy one, and honestly, like I never want to go back to the place where my head was at during that time. Also, just to put in perspective of how deep I was, I had a Lamanberg flag on my wall. If you know, you know. Like, that's insane. I also made little paper versions of their Minecraft skins. Like, that was like my favorite activity ever. And I just watched streams every day, all day. Like, I don't know how she got anything done. This fandom, I don't think ever could have been healthy, with the fact that it was mostly built with grown men who were feeding on the fandom of a bunch of teenage girls, especially Dream, but whatever. Like, they were just striving for the attention and affections of teenage girls, which is objectively weird in every respect. And you could say the same thing about like boy bands who had a bunch of teenage girl fans at the same time, like, but like mostly it's up to management. In this Minecraft server, they were all, you know, grown men who could make their own choices, and they chose to do the things that they did. And most of the time it had to do with, you know, talking to minors, and they were just latched on to the opinion of teenage girls that like catapulted their whole career and basically defined what they did with their lives, which is crazy, and that should never be how anyone lives, obviously. And that's why most of the grown men on the server did not turn out to be good guys. And at the end of the day, I have moved past this, and I think it's put me in a new perspective about like parasocial relationships and all that. So at the end of the day, it taught me something. So sorry for the rantiness of this video. I like literally just had like a few bullet points written down of like what I wanted to talk about in general, and it kind of just like went off the rails a little bit from there. If you enjoyed these type of videos, let me know, and then I'll maybe make more, because I didn't have to write much for this, so it's nice not having to write scripts and then just being able to like film. But also I have some more like structured videos with like plot recaps and stuff. Go check those out, because they are like my favorite videos that I've ever made, especially my Slap Arts one, because that took me forever and a day to edit. And although it's a 2-hour watch, it's a great watch. I rewatch that video a lot, and maybe that's egotistical, but I think it's completely okay. And thank you for watching.